Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thanks for taking an hour out of your day to hear what's going on in Lambda Chi Alpha, your fraternity, some of the things we were able to achieve this last year, and some of our thoughts about what we'd like to achieve in the year coming up. I couldn't do one of these sessions without making reference to our strategic plan. It's something that we put together a little over 5 years ago. Some of you on this call actually participated in the process of putting that plan together, and I can assure you that it has been the foundation and the guiding principles and framework for what we have done and what we continue to do. We have navigated through COVID and several other challenges. And I don't want to steal Troy's thunder, but he'll give you some stats about our growth statistics, which should really impress you and make you really proud of where we are right now. We're on the level of setting a record in terms of membership. So obviously, we have a formula that's working, but we continue to look for ways to improve it and enhance it. Before I turn it back over to Troy, there's many things we're going to talk about tonight. And I think you'll see at the end of this discussion that Lambda Chi is not afraid of doing things differently, of innovating, of pushing the envelope to continue our quest to grow and enhance the experience for our collegiate members as well as our alumni members. Having said that, I would say if there's two takeaways you can have from this evening that I'd like you to remember. One is our path to growth is going to require us to do things a little bit differently at the campus level. And we'll talk a little bit about how we're moving away from traditional recruiting and looking at alternatives. And again, I hope you appreciate the innovation here because we're really trying to tackle the full universe of individuals coming to the campus, not just the 8% who indicate in surveys that they're interested in joining a fraternity, but the other 92% full as well. In addition to looking at alternative channels for recruitment, the other theme you'll hear tonight is, and we've talked about a lot, but we haven't really put the game plan together, but we really need to engage our alumni in a very meaningful way so they can contribute their time and talent to make the collegiate experience better, as well as make their own experience through life stages better. We just completed a joint meeting of the Foundation Board and the Grand High Zeta Board this weekend in Kansas City, which Troy claims to be the greatest city in the world. But in any event, we spent most of our time in joint sessions talking about enhancing the alumni experience. Came away with some great ideas that we'll start to execute in the very near future. But for all those alumni on the call tonight, understand that we appreciate all of your contributions. We'd like to make your experience more meaningful, and we need to get more of you involved to enhance the experience again of our collegiate members. With that, Troy, I'm going to turn it over to you and take it away.
Sure, thank you. Can we progress? So you're going to get to hear from a lot of the members of the senior leadership team over the next hour. I'm going to give a recap of 2025, and then Justin, Simon, Abe, and Dan will talk about plans for 2026 and how we hope to continue to build upon our recent success. We spend a lot of time talking about the strategic plan that was formulated in 2018. And part of that is a governing set of strategic objectives that act as our organizing principles. And I'm going to hit on 3 of them tonight when we talk about our progress and our results from last year. And we'll start with the first one on the next slide. It's all about how do we grow and purposefully attract men that want and need the Lambda Chi Alpha experience, not necessarily a fraternity experience, not necessarily a social experience, but the specific value proposition that Lambda Chi Alpha brings to bear, where we're focusing on helping men develop deep belonging, character, and competence. And we believe in formal recruitment. It's something that will always be here, but we don't want to have to rely on it to build our membership base. And just like any other modern organization, we want to be purposeful in figuring out who our target prospect is and going and speaking with them, which we've been implementing. And Justin will talk a lot more about that when we talk about 2026. but we had phenomenal growth this year. I mean, it was off the charts, higher than expected and higher than any other fraternity. Our goal was 10,200 members. We ended with our total last year was 10,651. The average NIC fraternity grew by 1%. First, their associates or pledges, whatever they refer to their new members as, we grew by 18% last year. Our initiations grew by 15%. And the coolest thing about our current growth is we're not just attracting new members, we're keeping them. So historically, from 2000 to 2019, our average membership churn was 19%, and that's steadily been declining. 2 years ago, we finally got below 10%, and this year our membership churn for both associate members and active members was only 4.8%. So the Lambda Chi Alpha experience is matching what we are selling when somebody is interested in becoming a member, and it is fulfilling that need that they stated when they wanted to join Lambda Chi Alpha. And that is something we find very, very exciting. We had a very successful expansion year. We expanded at Florida State, Georgia, Colorado, Nebraska. Our goal was to average 25 associates. We averaged 31. We expect each of those to grow exponentially this year. And we have 6 associate chapters that we'll be expanding to, which Justin can allude to later. So on the growth front, we had a very successful year. And on the next slide, you'll see that we were growing from 20 to 23, but we had COVID, which was kind of a brake on the gas pedal. But since 2023, we've really been growing at a rapid pace. So some of that was COVID related, but every other fraternal organization also experienced COVID, and their growth has been flat. And again, we've grown at 18%. And we believe that the primary driver of this, besides the new marketing initiatives, is around 2023, we really started to spend heavily on providing staff and tools for our alumni volunteers and mentors. We now have 5 full-time people working with our high pies and alumni advisors who are then working at the chapter level. And this takes us to the second objective, which we really focused on last year and really over the last 3 years, which is how do we fully utilize our local volunteers to maximize success? So we are operating under a hypothesis that after 116 years, we believe to be valid, which is 35 people in Carmel, Indiana, cannot be all things to all chapters and all members simultaneously. And we're going to have to invert our service and delivery model and have more men, more mentors, more advisors, more coaches working with our undergraduates if we're going to be successful. So the Office of Administration's job is to provide tools and education and support to our alumni advisors as they work with the chapters and the men in their local community. And this year, our goal is to have 90% of our chapters with certified high pi. We ended the year with 96%, which is twice as many as we had 2 years ago. And we wanted to have 20 chapters with an advisory board of at least 3 members, and we ended up with 55%. And we're really trying to focus on, besides having somebody there to work with the high pi, but to work with the Delta, the Tau, and the Kappa, because obviously recruitment, financial management, and fraternity education are really the most important functions, and they're also the most difficult to master. So each one of these officers needs a coach, an advisor, a mentor there to help them take the knowledge that we can provide and turn it into skill. So that's where we focused a significant amount last year. That's where we'll continue to focus. One fantastic outcome of having so many more alumni volunteers working at the chapter levels. Not only are we growing, we're watching our grades improve and we're seeing chapter incidents decline. And that's across the board, alcohol, hazing, all other incidents. The more men we have, the more mentors we have working at the chapter level, the better the outcomes are, the better the experience for the men, and the more effective those executive committees are. So I want to say thank you. Now, we've got to get from 500 alumni volunteers working with our chapters to 5,000 if we're going to hit our growth numbers over the next decade. So as Steve alluded to, improving the experience for alumni and making this something that is accretive to their lives is really job one as we look forward. Those alumni volunteers have to have great programs to utilize with our students, and Simon's team had a fantastic year putting together world-class programs. And since we're really the program leader in all of the fraternal and sorority space with our Ideal Man program, the STED Leadership College certification program, and our chapter challenge. We now have 7 certification programs, and we have another one for the High Iota, which will launch in November. And these are programs that actually teach the officer how to do their difficult job and then give them a certification that is recognized on LinkedIn that allows them to showcase to the world and to future employers how much they learned and what they actually accomplished while they were in school. We now have 2 ZAC sessions up on the Lambda Chi Academy, and we're working to add to that and to get more utilization of those ZAC sessions. We wanted to have 20% of our chapters have at least 4 officers earn a STED Leadership College credential. We ended up at 38.8%, and we wanted 60% of our chapters to complete the Ideal Man program, Learning Journey 1, which is really focused on them understanding themselves, who they are as a person, and help them find their purpose. And we had 62% of chapters hit that number. And as you can see on the next slide, we're well ahead of our pace in terms of the goals we set when we launched these programs in 2022. We wanted to have 700 men earn a certification in 2025, and we ended with 822. And we wanted 1,500 of our brothers to go through Ideal Man, and we ended up, now we're at 1,857. So, our members are really utilizing the content. Now, the thing that makes me a little bit worried is this is really our small and medium sized chapters are really using the programming. Our bigger chapters are dabbling in it, and they really don't start using it hook, line, and sinker until they get in trouble, and we make this a condition of probation, and then they finally start to realize how effective it is, and it starts to become part of their culture. So we do expect this to continue to gain steam year after year, and we are ahead of schedule. If we go to the next slide. So the third objective I wanted to highlight is, if you study a lot of the literature on Gen Z, you'll see that they live in their head. And in some ways, because so much of their life happens here, they're a very narcissistic generation. And the research tells us that if we want them to learn to do something, we have to teach them, you have to help them get their hands dirty, help them put it into practice. So if we want our brothers to take the values that we teach through our fraternity education, our ritual, and turn it into habits they use for the rest of their life, then we have to get them out working in the community. And we're very excited about the results we've had over the last year. We wanted to save 5,000 lives last year through blood donations at the American Red Cross. We were able to save over 6,000 lives. The goal was 1,500 units. We actually raised 2,000. And for the 4th year in a row, we were the primary fundraiser for Movember. Movember is all about men's physical and mental health, a lot of suicide prevention. Our chapters have really taken to this program. So many of them have been impacted by suicide in their life. And for the 4th year in a row, we were the largest fundraiser. And we actually inked another partnership this last year with T1D, which is all about fighting type 1 diabetes. It's one of the fastest growing ailments for college-age men. There's a significant number of our brothers that suffer from type 1 diabetes. And that's another national program that we'll be offering our chapters going forward. One area where we fell short was on chapter reporting. We wanted to have all of our chapters have their bills paid, at least 95% by May 15th. We're at 89%. Mostly we want this because we don't want chapters carrying balances into the next semester where they're using what they generate in the fall to pay for the spring and the spring to pay for the fall. A lot of these our chapters have carried debt since COVID. We're working with each to create a plan to finally erase that. The biggest issue for chapters in financial distress is they don't collect from their members. So we've been working from the Office of Administration to strengthen the executive committees and really working with the high pies to help the chapters change their culture where members don't feel that they need to fulfill their obligations. And we had much better performance in the spring than in the fall. So that is an area where we're still going to need to focus significantly going into next year. So in closing, it was a fantastic year in terms of growth. It was a fantastic year in terms of working with our alumni volunteers and providing them with new innovative programs to help our members. As you go to the next year, there are two new objectives that I want to highlight. We really want to work on enhancing our storytelling and increasing the number of men that are following us on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis so we can tell our story and get our brothers to tell our story to other brothers who may not be quite as in the know. And we want to enhance our business intelligence. We want to give our decision makers, whether it be an officer, a high pie, an advisor, the information they need in real time to make the best decisions. So those are the updated objectives that we'll utilize this year. And to kind of tell you what our goals are tied to this, I'll turn it over to Justin Fisher, who's going to talk a lot about growth.
Thank you, Troy. So this is just kind of a high-level overview of some of our goals and then kind of the plan attached to that. We're going to get more into detail on a few of these. So first, Troy and Steve both alluded to like a record-breaking year next year. So this next year, we will hit 11,000 collegiate brothers, which will be the highest in the history of Lambda Chi Alpha's history. So that's a huge accomplishment, something we're definitely excited for. And then, where we were, 6-7 years ago, definitely don't know if we thought we'd be this large back then. Published 3 good news stories per week. If you follow us on LinkedIn, you probably have noticed an uptick over the past year in terms of stories and things that we're pushing out. We want to continue to increase that. And then the goal under that, the 1,500 social media reposts by key stakeholders is also essential. So when we're talking to different alumni or students, they may share in passing like, oh yeah, we did this event or we're doing this together. We just had that joint foundation board Grand High Zeta meeting. One of the students that serves on the Isaac Owen got to talk about his experience, right? And they have a chapter of 45 guys at William Jewell in a campus that almost went out of business last year, right? So under 1,000 students, and yet they're finding a way to really attract men into the Lambda Chi experience, and that's a story we need to share, right? I mean, there may be brothers all over North America, all over the world that kind of need to hear that inspirational story about this group of guys who, despite the environmental circumstances they're facing, right, are persevering and really helping grow Lambda Chi Alpha. And our hope is, I think, twofold. One, that people who are not currently engaged or maybe not members get to hear about all the good that is happening in Lambda Chi Alpha and that our members are doing. And then 2, it inspires and encourages other brothers to share what they're doing and what's going on in their lives. And, the whole point of getting to tell the story of Lambda Chi Alpha and pushing that out. And so I would really ask this group, right? I mean, if you look at all the names that are here, if you think about where you live, the industries you work in, your network, right? Very unique. And if you consider all of us, right, the combined network, the different reach that we could have in terms of sharing stories, sharing what Lambda Chi is doing, the story of Lambda Chi, that is powerful beyond measure, right? So that's really what we're after. So my one ask is that that you all repost stories and share comments and thoughts and all of that. $200,000 raised for our philanthropic partners. So Troy mentioned Breakthrough T1D coming on as a partner. I think at this point, we're just trying to help our brothers and help the community that we exist in. And so we understand that different chapters are impacted. They may have different causes they're passionate about. We want to support those. But we want to know kind of, hey, what are we doing locally? What is a local philanthropy or charity that you're supporting, and what's the story behind that? And then 2,500 units of blood collected for the American Red Cross. And I think that just our men's the fact that our men bought in so quickly and give so freely to the American Red Cross is just a testament to who they are and who Lambda Chi Alpha is. And so we want to continue to push that partnership and continue to reach new heights in terms of what we're able to give. New tools and resources, I'm going to get ready to show some of those off. But we want to aid advisors and members in being able to tell Lambda Chi's story, right? So we want to help them, give them tools to be able to do that. And then we also want to provide that audience with tools to help them succeed in their roles. And that really comes in the form of business intelligence or actionable data that could really help them. And then we, for the first time, have a strategic marketing plan and a strategic content plan for the entire year. And so you guys are probably sick and tired of me saying we're going to tell Lambda Chi's story. But that is such a huge emphasis, right, of what we want the next couple years to be about, is for people to hear about all the good things that Lambda Chi is doing. If you followed fraternity for the past 10 years, a lot of it's been negative, right, about the harm fraternities cause. And so we know and understand that those stories are in the minority, but we really just want to share the positive aspects of Lambda Chi Alpha. So a little over 2 or 3 years ago, we started partnering with a company called EAB. EAB primarily works with institutions of higher education. And our sole purpose when we initially started this partnership was, is there a way that we could reach high school students and their parents before they get to campus? Because traditional rush is they come to campus, we meet them, yeah, we like hanging out with them, maybe they get a bid, they become members, all of that. But could we go on offense and tell the story of Lambda Chi Alpha to high school students or parents before anyone else got to them? And so, this led us down a great path. And so there are some high school students that have joined Lambda Chi because of our partnership with EAB. The most important thing that we've gotten thus far is research and information. There was a former Grand High Alpha who always used to say, why guess when you can know, right? And so instead of guessing what high school students are doing, what their habits are, what channels we should reach to communicate with them on, we went to some experts that actually do this for a living. They research it and they figure it out. And so, for some high school students, that means we have ads on Snapchat. For others, that means we're doing short videos. It's been incredibly valuable to learn the habits of high school students and how we reach them. So one of the newest iterations of our partnership is a virtual tour, which I'm going to get ready to show you right now. But we wanted, basically, post-pandemic, we found out that 1 in 4 college students uses a virtual tour when making a decision about college. And students that engage in a virtual tour, their average length of time that they spend in a tour is about 8.5 minutes. A student that is just looking at a .edu website is just barely hitting 2 minutes of engagement. So over 4 times the amount of engagement occurs on a virtual tour. So we wanted to create that for Lambda Chi and create an experience basically that would allow someone to see what is it like to be a Lambda Chi. So I'm going to show that right now.
Have you been looking to put your gifts to good use? To build character while building a better world? To elevate others as you collectively rise up?
Can you guys hear the audio?
To find excitement, fulfillment, and brotherhood.
There's no fast food restaurant there like a
You belong here. Lambda Chi, a bold way to a better world.
Okay, so that was the intro. This is just part of this. So you can take your mouse and drag this along. There are different videos and elements. When you click on different
college
interactive
is about
elements,
more than the
people
school you
pop
go
out
to and the
kind of
classes you
share
take. It's about the
different parts of
community you
this.
build. And as one of the largest and fastest growing
I won't go through all of this, but we will send this out afterwards, so you'll have a link to this, so you'll be able to explore this. But there's all these different elements, right, in terms of the aspects of the Lambda Chi experience, what it looks like, and the whole point of this is we want a 17 or 18-year-old who's excited about college to think about, this could be my collegiate experience. I could be here in this room. I could be eating lunch with, these guys are going to be my best friends. We talk about brotherhood. We talk about professional success and alumni involvement. We talk about service, history of the organization, but really wanted to encapsulate the entire Lambda Chi experience. Big shout out to our chapters at UCLA and Butler who helped participate in the filming of this. But the whole point is we wanted someone, if we know that our consumers, our potential new members, this is how they consume information, not only how they consume, but they expect, right? If they're going to make a decision, they expect to be able to have this kind of access, then we need to be able to compete in that space. And this was the virtual experience that we created. So like I said, we'll send this out and we'll let people explore and kind of get to see what it is. If you have questions or feedback, please feel free to reach out. But definitely encourage you to check this out. This is going live with our new website, which we're getting ready. I'll get ready to show you right now, which will be launched this week. And so we're going to market this internally. So there will be an FAQ and a guide sent out to all advisors and students about best ways to use the tour, answer any questions they may have. But we want to make sure that this isn't something that just sits on the website, but is an active tool that all of our chapters are using as well. So the next thing that I wanted to show you real quick is the new website. So like I said, this is launching this week. We have pretty much stripped the website of any tools or resource that used to be a collective ground of all the resources that we have. Those are all on the My Lambda Chi portal, but we really wanted Lambda Chi, the website, to be the storytelling mechanism for external audiences. And so this is what the homepage will look like. But there's key things that I want you to know about. One is that it really focuses on the value proposition of our membership, which is belonging, character, and competence, right? Those are the three pillars. When we're out talking about expansion, we're out recruiting new members, this is what the three things that we talk about the most. Belonging being that sense of brotherhood, deep, meaningful relationships that kind of follow you throughout life. Character, right? We're a values-based organization. We want to help further develop your character. And then competence. We want to develop your skills, and we're going to give you opportunities to exhibit and grow those skills and achieve results that will prove that you have developed those skills through Lambda Chi experience. But that is all what we want told in the Lambda Chi story. And then the other aspect that we wanted to cover is that we wanted to be able to really ensure that people by audience could select how they want to go through this information. So if you are a parent, it'll look different. And there's different parts of different information and key things that you want to know as a parent. If you are an alumnus, this also changes as well. So we really wanted to ensure that the content got customized by audience, and so that this was easier to use for everyone who visits it. And then the final piece I really wanted to talk to you all about is this aspect of business intelligence. So our team created what we're calling the HiPi dashboard, right? And so the HiPi dashboard, what it does is it displays all this key data in one spot for chapters and officers. And so basically what we wanted, if you want to know who owes money, if you want to know as an advisor, what's the percent of members who have set up their portal account? What's the percent of members that pay their bills? How many reported associate members or initiations do we have? This is all in one spot. And I would say this has been in different spots over the years, and we really wanted to make this easy and accessible. And so, one of the goals is that by the end of this month, there's a HiPi dashboard, right? This is ready to launch. This will be launched. But then we wanted to create separate dashboards for the Delta, the TAL, other officers so that they can have access to this key information.
Justin, you're still presenting the website.
Oh, that I am. Yep, see, this would be helpful. You guys are probably like, what are you talking about? Brother Parker, see you have your hand raised?
Well, yeah, Justin, I have a couple, if you allow me. Some of it's already shown up on your chat screen, but could you share with us a couple things? Number one of the questions earlier you were talking about some of the goals and all, and one of them was raising more dollars for charities. But that's not, am I correct in saying it's not just the Red Cross or the Movember ones that are nationally approved, but if it's a local charity, do our chapters report that to you so you can count it into that goal? Is that how that works?
So yeah, we'll actually track both. So we'll track for each partner, and then there's a form that's on the Lambda Chi portal that is actually designed to collect any philanthropic event or fundraising efforts.
Gotcha. My second question is, and again, Mike Williams was asking this too. Now, is this this virtual tour, is that we're going to try to create that for each chapter that wants to have something like that? Is that the plan?
No, we created one just for Lambda Chi Alpha. We tried to make it encompassing of the Lambda Chi experience. Obviously, there's going to be different unique aspects in each chapter, but the general experience and the things that you should come to expect is contained in the tour. How that is exactly carried out and what exactly that looks like may differ from chapter to chapter.
Well, again, now I'm still confused because that means a local chapter is going to change that virtual tour. That's where I was getting at, or not.
No, there's one tour.
So, okay, I like this idea, and I'll just make a comment that goes back 40 or 50 years, but I like this idea. I like using the technology of doing that. I would say no offense to our good brothers at UCLA or Butler, but a parent that sees the video of kids playing on the beach, they're wondering, where am I sending my son to college? So I just had hoped that maybe this would be something that would be more localized, something that would be more specific to that university or chapter.
Phil,
and yeah,
it costs us $6.5 million to do it for every chapter.
well, I understand, but maybe the chapters, Troy, the answer is the chapters that want to try this, maybe they can figure out how to share the bill with you. I get that. I understand that. And let me just say something that goes back 40 or 50 years. Trust me, over the years, many times we have worked on, and I'll use the term the old term, summer recruitment, where we went out and visited the students, and we probably still do. Maybe even got to meet the parents. And those chapters that did that well were probably the very best at recruiting year round, but especially coming back to school. I mean, these were very, I don't want to call them sophisticated chapters, but they were far from the competition, especially on their campus, by doing something like that. That's why I like sending this out, because I hope that it could be more cost effective. I understand your cost, $6.5 million. That's a lot of money for the video that you put out, but I hope that somebody seeing the kids play volleyball on a beach in Los Angeles, they can relate to that if they're going to go to the University of Missouri. So just my thought.
Yeah, and this is our first year. The beautiful thing about this is we're going to get massive data on what works and what doesn't, and we'll be able to edit, improve over time.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Just thought I'd add something about a little historical perspective. So, okay, thanks.
And brothers, we're going to have ample time for questions at the end. If I may, can we have the rest of the guys get through their updates?
No.
It might answer some questions, or it might jar some new ones.
You bet.
And then last thing that I'll share is Lambic High Academy. Troy talked a lot about our programming. One of the key aspects, right, is that there's an academy tracker, right? So if we're asking officers, we're asking advisors, hey, follow up with your chapter on their completion. You need to be able to see, okay, what is their progress? How far do we have to go? This, again, all in one spot for Alpha Pi chapter advisors to see. So again, under the whole notion of we're just trying to get the accurate data and information in the hands of the people that need it to make those key decisions. I will turn it now over to Dr. Simon Taylor, who's going to talk about people development.
Hey, brothers. So my name is Simon Taylor, and I look after 3 teams within the Office of Administration. I look after the chapter support specialists. These are the individuals that engage with high alphas and other officers on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. Another team, the learning team, they design all the learning and all the simulations, be that for the academy online or our major events. And another team, volunteer support, who are responsible for recruiting, training, and supporting the volunteers. And it's only right that I start talking about 2026 and where we need to go. Like, it doesn't matter, brothers, about how good our programming is, and it's always iterative. It will always improve. But we will never affect real change unless we have high quality, high pies and advisors in the room. And you can see the goals on the screen. I'll not read them out. There's going to be a big push this year on getting Delta, Tau, and Kappa advisors in every chapter. Right now, about 55% of our chapters have at least 3 advisors and a high pi. We are now working with chapters to say who wants to look after the Delta, who wants to look after the Tau, and who wants to look after the Kappa. And yes, we have training built in, and I'm going to go into that in a minute, of how we are going to support our brothers who are so crucial. Regarding officers and members, as Troy pointed out, we've had a very good year, and I really feel adoption in the academy is now kicking in. Anybody who's rolled out large-scale programming will know that this can be quite a challenge. I fully believe we will hit 40%, having 5 officers achieve a credential. But we have brought in some new. For example, 75% of high fives can correctly state the symbolic lessons of ritual. And that's why we're bringing high fives to High Zeta Summit in Indianapolis in January, so we can create a benchmark and train from there. We're going to keep focusing on Ideal Man, but we're bringing in something new called Member Safety Fundamentals. So all I want to take you from this slide is that there's going to be a huge push over this coming year in supporting high pies and advisors. We have never invested so heavily in this arena. 2 years ago, we had one person looking after volunteers. Now we have a team of 5. We have a lot of people that now need trained, and they're willing to be trained. And I've got to give a shout out to Sean Harmer, who's helped us design a lot of the stuff, and he's on tonight. If we go to the next slide, please. So one new program that we brought in is called Member Safety Fundamentals. It was about this time last year that Jeff Morris, our CFO, and myself, we attended an insurance conference. And after speaking with Troy afterwards, it became apparent that we did not have a distinct health and safety offering. Now, I appreciate health and safety is not the sexiest topic on the planet, but it nevertheless is extremely important. We looked at what was on the market, and it wasn't good enough. And I firmly believe what we have developed is to a much higher standard. And it is a 3-tiered product. The bottom tier, which we have now rolled out, we've had 240 through so far, is Member Safety Fundamentals. And it focuses on a number of areas, which you can see on the screen. Why this differs from what's on the market today, it doesn't just cover the school of common sense. It covers things such as culture, why people make decisions, why people make stupid decisions on a good day, why we interact with people a certain way, and how that leads to certain outcomes. So it's getting brothers to really think about the culture of their chapter, how they look after one another, and how they interact with one another to create a safe environment. And it's got lots of exercises within it for the Kappa and the IOTA to get involved. Very soon, around October, we're going to be rolling out the next level, which is the high IOTA track. As a number of you are aware, we have State Leadership College. We've got a lot of officer tracks running. We don't have anything for the IOTA. IOTA is coming out above this, but they're going to be linked. And above that again, then there'll be a track for the advisor. Because what I wanted to create, what the team wants to create, is very much a culture where advisor, IOTA are working together on different exercises to create a professional, safe, but also fun environment, and give them a little bit of knowledge that they can take back into campuses as well, back onto school, and get people thinking about the psychology of why we do certain things. I'm very pleased with this. It's live now, and I can tell you, brothers, it's better than what other fraternities are buying. It's internal as well. The next thing, look, if we are going to really improve our chapters and grow, we've got to train up the advisors. So we're starting off with Tau, Delta, and Kappa. So what we have done, we have taken the courses that are available to the officers, and we've really distilled them down to really the beating heart of each course. And what we're saying to the Tau, Delta, and Kappa advisor, if you do nothing else, understand these exercises and understand how you could use them in the room, one-to-one with your officer, with the High Zeta, or with the entire chapter. Because if we can, for example, if we can get budget discussions on how to have a budget and manage a budget and make it part of the rhythm of the chapter, not just for the Tau, but for the entire chapter, it will make everybody's life easier. But that will only come about by a high Tau advisor being willing to pick up the learning and use it in the room. So what this means, and I'm very conscious of time because I know we've got Abe up, we're going to start a train the trainer. So in August and September, we have just under 20 volunteers that are going to come in, and they're going to learn the heart of every single program. We are then going to go out and do a select number of chapters and work with them to train advisory boards in delivering this program at a local level. So that means we'll have online that's managed by the center. We'll have live online that's managed by the center. We always do that, but we will have live in the room. And just think of the value of that, of having a brother who's working in sales, in the room teaching brothers about the value proposition. The beauty of that is we'll recruit in a better way, but we will have the young lad then going into the world of work with more greater confidence and competence. So we've got a busy year ahead, and really the whole pendulum is just, in summary, shifted from supporting the collegiate brother to now supporting the advisor. Sorry to rattle so fast. I'm just conscious of time.
Good evening, brothers. I'll be speaking just briefly about our 2026 health and wellness goals. So really the name of the game when it comes to risk management for Lambda Chi Alpha is a focus now on proactive risk management, right? We've gotten pretty good at the reactive game. We've gotten better and better when it comes to working with our chapters when they have disciplinary issues, guiding them through the process, and then engaging them with the learning offerings that we have to try and correct behaviors, as well as supporting alumni in different efforts such as membership reviews and the implementation of alumni control boards. What we're now focused on is preventing us from even having to get to that point, right? Because we have these dual goals. We want to keep chapters open by teaching them better risk management strategies and having them stay out of hot water with their universities, while also ensuring that things like hazing, alcohol abuse, and things like that are appropriately disciplined under our laws. So we have three major goals here. I'm really going to only focus on two of them. The first is that we're working on comprehensive risk management assessments led by the committees of the Grand High Zeta, so that we're focusing on those large existential threats that face the fraternity. A lot of these threats come from things like other corporations face, such as cybersecurity, but also things that are particular to the fraternity, which is decreasing male enrollment and things like that. So making sure that the members of our board are able to routinize those conversations and then have those conversations at the operational level. The other big thing here is that we're working with our new director of harm reduction and university relations, Haley Flavin. She was the 2023 Lambda Chi Advisor FSL Advisor of the Year. She's a conduct professional and is wonderful on receiving quarterly proactive communications with all of our host campuses. So we're having 100% of those conversations that will help us develop those relationships so that when something happens on a campus, we're investigating alongside our campus partners instead of just waiting for them to make a decision. And the plan with how we implement that, I spoke a little bit about what Haley's already doing, and our whole team is working on ensuring that we're training up our chapter support services folks and our alumni enrichment volunteer support folks on these different strategies with working with campuses. But we're also working on annual security risk assessments and then in planning enhanced risk management training within the Office of Administration. So our goal is to keep chapters open, keep them educated on proactive risk management, and ultimately continue to foster those relationships with universities so that we really stand out when it comes to our brother fraternities. Now, the last thing I want to talk about today is really a shift in accountability. We're trying to be more and more data-driven when it comes to how we conduct health and wellness. And we're seeing an interesting trend that moves right alongside the empowerment of Zetas and the empowerment of our advisors. What we're seeing is actually an increase in expulsions while we have a decrease in chapter closures. So expulsions only occur when a member is deliberately removed from a chapter, right? When we close a chapter, those members are suspended until graduation. So what this really represents is that we're taking care of disciplinary issues at the local chapter level instead of letting it rise to the level where we have to take chapter-wide conduct action. This is actually a great trend, right? What we want to see are more individual expulsions when there's an issue rather than letting those issues fester and spread to an entire chapter. So we're going to keep monitoring this, and we really do continue to want to take lessons from the data so that way health and wellness becomes something that is essentially scientific here at the Office of Administration.
Nothing like following up the discipline with a little bit of good news here at the end, brothers. So great to see you all. So many names and brothers who have contributed into the foundation. So last year, 2024 was a record year for the foundation. We raised over $7 million. We've never done that before. We've also never granted $1.984 million. See, my team put this together clearly because I'd have rounded that to $2 million, but $1.984 million, we've never granted that to the fraternity. ever in our history. And we did that in the academic year. So when it says 2025, that's what we did from 24 to 25 academic year, which is the fraternity's fiscal year. There's three major areas that we focus on with those grants: chapter volunteer support, education and training, and then research and program development. More detail about each of those is on the final slide that I have for you, which also outlines what we're looking to do in this year, this academic year. So when we talk about chapter and volunteer support, that's all the work that the support coaches to date have done, and then the regional work, as well as facilitator training. When we talk about education and training, this is where really the meat of a lot of the things we grant towards and invest in come. You've got High Zeta Summit that happens in January. You've got the Learning Lab that is a General Assembly, the STED Leadership College that's ongoing throughout the year, and Advisors College. And then, of course, the neat pieces you got to see that Justin presented, where you can go virtually through what's an experience like in Lambda Chi. That sort of research, which also, by the way, informs the way in which Simon and his team develop learning. To know that somebody wants to go through something virtually and they spend 8 minutes on that versus some colleges.edu website, that's important data and information about this generation, how they learn. So that feeds in then, of course, to the content development and delivery. So in this year, in this academic year, we are looking to grant $2.2 million. And so we need to continue to have you out there helping encourage that. Of course, giving of your own resources, we appreciate that as well. But let's expand this network of brothers that give. We had 3,500 donors in this last year, and we wanted to see that at 5,000 by 2030. That's the stated goal that the foundation has. Couple things for you. You probably participated in a spring assessment that went out. It was sent from me with my friends at Cygnus Study. And that went out in the spring. We're going to find out the results of that this next month at a conference that we go to. But that's going to help our team really focus in on how we're working with donors, what we're sharing, how we're stewarding gifts, and overall storytelling in Lambda Chi and with the foundation. So thanks for participating in that. There were 50 fraternities and sororities that did it, and we had more than 1,000 participants. We were one of the highest grossing organizations that participated. This fall, just want to give you a little bit of a heads up. This coincides a lot with what you heard earlier around sharing your story and really showcasing the story. But we are going to do something called an oral history project, and that'll kick off in November. There will be some more information that starts to come out. You'll see through your email. But essentially, it's an opportunity for our brothers to share a bit about how Lambda Chi has impacted them, what it's meant in their life, and share some of those stories. It'll be put together in a book. And of course, the company doing this, they don't work for free. They'll be asking brothers to support that. One thing we've done with it this year is that the brothers that out there, you can encourage them to share their story and also buy the book, because a portion of that purchase will be a gift made to the foundation, which is really special, and we're looking forward to that. So that'll start in November, and it'll go through the spring here of 2026. That's all I've got. I know I wanted to leave a little time here for questions. It looks like we have some minutes left, so I'll be quiet and let our moderators handle everything.
Yeah, so before Abe opens it up for questions and moderates, I do want to let everybody know, I definitely heard you on the virtual tour. Please give us the first semester to launch the baseline program, get data, figure out what works, what doesn't. So if we do try to scale something, we're scaling something that's optimized and not something that hasn't been tested. But we will work to figure out a way to make that more local over time. My ask of you is, once you get the link, please go through every one of the different rooms, listen to the different videos, and provide any feedback that you have back to Justin and his team, so we can gather as much data as we can. as we utilize these new tools to help us with recruitment.